Welcome, 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 welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about paychecks, going from paychecks to protected, and the policy perks you never knew. Thank you for joining. So, tonight I want to share with you the secret to using life insurance to fund your future for the what if. Now, while we get into this information, I need you to pay attention like you paid to be here, okay? Admission, we can pay for that. Travel, we can pay for that. But your time away from your family is priceless. And so I want you to pay attention to make sure that you get all the value that you're paying attention for. Ultimately, we want to know how to fund our future for the what if. What I want to share with you is a strategy, a proven strategy that the wealthy use. This is a strategy that my wealthy clients are using. And what happens is when you put your money into a certain type of bank account, it builds up to a point where you can literally write yourself a check and pull cash from it for 95, 100 different reasons. Ultimately, you want to have the right kind of bank account, AKA policy structure, in order to be able to do this. So this is just a quick example of a 40-year-old woman and what that can look like in when she's age 55 and age 65. You can see her money has grown over time, and we'll get into details with that at a little later. What I'm going to teach you about today is about a few of the different perks about having this type of policy. I'm going to show you the importance of having this policy and how to position yourself so that you can play with it and pull from it. So, if you stay until the end, I'm going to give everyone a Build Your Bougie bank account worksheet. This is a worksheet that'll give you a breakdown of all the things you need to be looking at in order to have your Bougie bank account. So, who the hell is Dee Garrett? My name is Dee Garrett. I used to be a construction manager many, many moons ago. And when I was in construction, I got to the point where I just could not take those 6 a.m. meetings anymore because I had become a mom in 2006. And so I decided to shift from when I got when I was going to school, what I went to school for, basically studying and working in the construction industry to go after the passion that I had, which was actually to be a realtor. And so from that point, I actually got into the real estate game. And so I was doing real estate and working full time as a construction manager while selling homes on the side. Well, a few years into that was 2008. I know some of you are just a few seconds younger than me. Well, who remembers what happened in 2008? Drop it in the chat. Yep. Can you remember what happened in your world when that hit? The world was devastated. And I was a realtor. At that time, I had transitioned into being a full-time realtor. So I didn't have the full-time construction management job anymore. And some of my clients, they were losing their houses. Some of us didn't know how we were going to pay our mortgages. We were watching how not only the housing market tanked, but how all of our lives were tanking as well. And then at this point, I was still considered a fairly new realtor. And again, I was full time at this point. And so when all of that started happening, they stopped selling houses, became harder. More people were going upside down and losing their houses. And so I had to pivot. And so what I did is I became specialized in short sales and foreclosures and trying to help homeowners in their housing scenario crisis. Well, while I was working with those homeowners, I actually positioned myself to work with real estate investors as well. And so what I was learning was a lot of these investors were snatching up a lot of those homes that were distressed, being lost by homeowners that just couldn't afford it anymore. And I was watching them fix those homes up, flip them, and also go buy more homes with straight cash. And then I started asking questions like, how are you able to have so much liquidity to even just start that project? Where's that money coming from? I didn't know about business credit. I didn't know about the strategy they used. And it's the secret that they weren't sharing with many people that I ended up learning about. And that's the secret I'm going to share with you on how they were able to have so much cash instantly when they needed it to fund their business in their flips when they were doing the housing flips. And so I positioned myself to learn that secret strategy. And that was something that was not commonly shared with the public. Again, I had to dig, like, how did you get started? I mean, of course, when you look at HGTV and they're flipping these homes and they're showing you these numbers of what the profit can be, yeah, that's easy. But where does it start from? Not everybody starts from already owning a home. And so what happened was I learned that it was actually life insurance. So they were in control of the cash that they needed at the time they needed it in order to put an offer in on a home or put a contract on a home and buy that home straight cash. And I had no clue how to make sense of it. They told me what they used, but they didn't show me how. And so I was still kind of curious. So then that's when I started learning on my own and ended up getting the right life insurance policy. I started building my own bank with for the simple same thing we're here today for is what if, because I had learned that this particular type of policy had the opportunity to build a nest egg. And so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get my own just for the what if. I don't know if this, what I'm going to use this money for. And once I learned how life insurance really worked and how I was able to use the benefits while I'm living, I said, everybody needs to know this. And so I became a licensed insurance professional. And now I'm teaching other women how to turn messy money into structured legacy. So, in case you want to build a business or have a down payment for a home or pay off a car or catch up on some missed bills and other countless things, this is a tool that you can actually use to do that. Okay. Now, there's a reason that I made this class totally free. Full transparency, I'm exposing 3 secrets for free. And I want you guys to just become more aware of the options that are out there that you might not have been privy to. And so I was a realtor for over a decade. I moved to another state and had to basically start all over again. Has anybody had that situation happen where you've relocated? Well, being in real estate, you have to start your business all over again. And I was like, okay, I knew what I was getting myself into by walking away from the business I had, which had shifted at that time of the market, well beyond 2008. And so I ended up moving to another state. But when I did that, it required me to return back to corporate and back into the construction industry. When I moved to that state, I did get my real estate license to start building business in that state. But again, it wasn't enough to sustain me. And also at that time, I was actually carrying more responsibility because I had extended family members that had also relocated with me, and I was the breadwinner. Well, then this happened. COVID 2020. Drop a 1 in the chat if you were personally affected by COVID. So either you got sick, lost a job, lost a loved one, stood in line for toilet paper. Drop a 1 in the chat. Yes, right. Yeah. So 2020 happened and I got laid off. And that's when I was like, okay, it's 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 tight in here because again, I had multiple mouths to feed, not just my own. I had extended family. It was a non-traditional family situation where it was a lot of us under one roof and I was the breadwinner and I'm not married. So imagine that. Anyhow, COVID happened. I got laid off. And then this is what happened. This is one thing is that they don't tell us or you don't realize. What others won't tell you is that we are all just one paycheck away from getting laid off or unemployed. So, what if your employer shut their doors on you tomorrow? The hard truth is that that primary income source snatched away from us can really make a big problem for our livelihood. So I want to ask you, how long would you be able to survive without unemployment? Drop it in the chat. 3 months, 6 months. Yeah, it's recommended to have 6 months to a year, but I say have 1 to 2 years of household expenses saved up. But yeah, we're all just one paycheck away. And then what happens if you get sick? What if you get sick? What if you had a stroke that stressful job caused you, and then you're only able to get disability? And so you're only able to get disability, and disability only pays up to 60% of your income while you're recovering. And if it's a group policy, there are other limits and restrictions. There's a story of a client that I had whose husband actually ended up having a stroke, and he was in the hospital during the time, of course, for recovery. Well, unfortunately for him, he never recovered. However, he did have life insurance through his job. And so, because he never recovered and he passed away, his wife tried to file a claim on the life insurance. What she learned is that there was a clause in his work life insurance that said that he had to be actively working at the time of death. He was in the hospital because of his stroke. He wasn't actively working at the time of his death. And because he wasn't actively working, that job insurance company declined her claim and she was not able to cash in. Think about that. We don't know what those stipulations are for a lot of our job related insurance, and we don't own it. What if an accident happened? What if you slip and fall and bust your butt on this ice? I'm in Texas. We just had an ice storm. A lot of people, they said the number one thing was people in the hospital for slips and falls. But what if you slip and fall and you can't get up, you can't get dressed, you can't wipe your butt, you can't get to the car by yourself? You need help. And this is not just for a couple weeks. This is maybe months on end because you have a true back injury. What happens? Now you need to have somebody come in and take care of you. Where's that money going to come from? Who's going to pay for that? Is your work insurance going to pay for that? Probably not, because you weren't at work when it happened and it's beyond the regular medical. But I want you to think about that. What if that happened? Where would that come from as far as paying for somebody to take care of you? And what if you had an emergency at your house? Again, what if you're in an ice storm and now the heat goes out? Or what if you're in the blazing heat and the air conditioning goes out and it needs to be replaced? That's what they say. Well, we've got to replace your whole HVAC unit. And that's going to be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, depending on what parts and pieces, if it's a whole new system or not. Where's that money coming from? Your savings account? Possibly. But what would that do for your savings? So it's important to understand that this is a reason why you need to become your own bank. So what if you could borrow that money from yourself without running up a credit card and paying 17 to 25% interest to take care of those emergencies? That's what they don't tell you. And so, like I said before, I had multiple mouths to feed. I needed a cushion until I found my next employer. And this is why I'm exposing what they don't talk about. Secret number one. Why does this even matter? Well, who wants to be a miseducated misfit? Nobody. We don't know what we don't know. And this is why it matters. Did you know that 95% of Americans end up financially struggling? This is no secret. The reason isn't because of laziness or lack of ambition. It's that nobody ever taught them how money actually works. The school system doesn't cover it. Most workplaces don't talk about it. They just throw you in there and have you sign a benefits package and, hope that you figure it out and talk to somebody. They don't even get into details about that anymore. And by the time most women figure out on their own what they have, it's already too late, and their years of potential growth have already slipped by. And so, this is why you need to share this information with your loved ones. So, I want you to think about your own experience. How much of what you know about money did you actually learn? And think about how much did you just pick up along the way and hope for the best? Think about that. Is the conversation of money something that your parents taught you, other than us that are a little bit older, how to balance a checkbook, debits and credits, what that looks like? The gap between what we're taught and what we're actually needing to know is the financial miseducation. And it's the single biggest reason that most people never build wealth. Now, financial miseducation shows up in a lot of ways. And there's 7 specific risks that quietly eat away at your money over time that most people don't even see coming. Now, we're not going to go through every single one of those 7 risks in this webinar, but I am sharing that in my masterclass because each one has a strategy to fight it. But today I want to show you that one tool that quietly tackles almost all 7 of them at once. What tool is that, you say? Life insurance. Yes, it's no secret, but it is a secret. It's not the way that you've heard of it or heard of it being described, because most people think that life insurance is only useful when you're gone. What I'm about to show you changes everything. Okay? It's a tool. Secret number 2. Uh-oh. Secret number 2. Learn how to build your Queen's Quiet bank account. Picture this. There's a woman you probably know. She's a coworker, a cousin, a friend. She never brags about money. She's not loud about it. But when life hits her, when the car breaks down, when the job gets shaky, when someone in the family needs help, she's never the one to panic. She just handles it quietly, calmly, like she's got a secret that nobody else knows about, because she does. It's not a savings account. It's not a trust fund. It's the cash value sitting inside her life insurance, and she's been building it the whole time. So that's what we're talking about today. Not life insurance the way you've heard about it, not something that you only think about when someone dies. This is a breathing tool that works while you're alive and builds over time, and it grows. And when you need to use it, it's yours. There's no bank approval, no drama. The Queen's Quiet bank account and its foundation is built on 4 pillars. And I'm going to talk about those. The 4 pillars of a cash value insurance policy. The first pillar is protection. Your family is covered in case something happens to you. We discussed the job loss scenario earlier. What if your mom, dad, elder suddenly needs care? You can use your life insurance policy to help pay for that without draining everything else. Growth. Your cash value compounds and grows over time. The younger you are, the more years of compounding opportunity. Drop a 1 in the chat if you knew this. Did you know that wealthy families put life insurance on their kids as soon as they can? And that's 2 weeks old. Babies, brand new babies. And why? because they know the power and have a plan for those dollars. They're giving their money an assignment. Either that money is going to be used for that child's college, a wedding, a first home down payment or purchase outright. And then we wonder, where are they getting this money from? Why are people so wealthy? Well, that's because they were taught a little different and they were able to move a little faster. Or what if you're stuck in a toxic job but scared to leave? You can use that policy to go build freedom so you can walk away on your own terms. How's that for a safety net? So unlike the stock market, your money's not subject to volatility. Everything I just shared is growth or protection and growth for the most part. I skipped over to safety. But here's where it gets even better. Your policy keeps growing where your money is safe and you can keep more in your pocket. So safety, like I mentioned before about the stock market, your money's not subject to the stock market. So what if the stock market, is it a if or a when, but what if the stock market tanks because somebody said something crazy on the news and everyone else is watching their 401k shrink? Your cash policy value does not go down with it. It stays right where it is. You don't have to ride that roller coaster. So your money is safe. Now, tax advantages. The growth and access to your cash value can be tax-free. What if you needed to pull that money out of your 401k or your IRA early? Does anybody know what happens if you need to go get that money like right now today? Drop it in the chat. Right. You get taxed. The government hits you with penalties and taxes. Penalties and taxes. Get that. Not just taxes, penalties and taxes. With your cash value in your policy, you can access your money when you need it and you don't get penalized for it. This is all inside of the Queen. All of this is inside of the Queen's Quiet Bank account, and I'll talk about it more in my masterclass. But that's just a few of the ways that at least of the 50 that I can give you in my masterclass and the community of where your policy becomes your personal bank. Just think about it. Secret number 3. Okay, so far I've shown you 2 things that most people never learn. Secret number 1, that insurance is a tool. Your policy has cash value and it's yours to use right now while you're alive. Secret number 2, there are 4 pillars to the Queen's Quiet Bank account. Now, secret number 3 is the protected paycheck pathway. This is how your money inside that policy actually grows and how it protects itself while it does. Again, your money's inside the policy and it continues to grow and it's protected from all the outside risks. And then the volatility is not affecting it and it continues to earn interest. The part that makes this possible is what turns a policy into a protected paycheck is that money builds and holds steady, and the money that stays in your pocket stays in your pocket. So I'm going to give you a taste of what that looks like. But the full-blown breakdown of how it all works together, how it's set up, how to make it work for you in your life, that's what we go deep inside of in the masterclass. But let me tell you, first, your money makes more money. Compound interest. Is anybody familiar with compound interest and know how it works? Drop a 2 in the chat if you're familiar. Okay. All right. Okay, yeah. Your money makes more money. So compound interest, you know how when you put a snowball on the top of a hill, you roll it up and you roll it down and it starts to pick up more snow as it continues to roll, right? That's what happens to the cash inside of your policy. It grows and then it grows on top of that growth. And as long as it rolls, it continues to get bigger. The next thing is that your money can double, and here's how fast. We'll talk about the rule of 72. There's a simple trick to figure out how fast your money can double, and depending on how your policy is set up, it might surprise you how quick that can happen. We break down together in the masterclass exactly how that works inside your policy. The next thing is Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is cut out. Most of the places people save money, the government gets a piece of that at some point. But with your policy's cash value, you can use that money and keep all of it. And so we'll go over exactly how to get tax-free access to the money in your account. How about that? And your family gets money fast. No probate drama. So when something happens to you, most people think that your family has to wait and jump through a bunch of hoops to get the money. With life insurance, your family gets paid fast. And without all of that hassle, you can go ahead and bury your loved one and grieve accordingly without having to deal with the drama of probate and figuring out how their last bills are going to be paid or anything else related to that. And we cover that and how to set it up the right way in the master class. So what most women are doing right now is either putting their money in a savings account or maybe a 401k. And so I want to ask you, drop a 3 in the chat if you have an account that can do any of the things that we talked about earlier. And secrets 1, 2, or 3. Can you get tax-free growth? Drop a 3 in the chat. Okay. We'll drop a 3 in the chat if your 401k can do that. Okay. I don't see anybody dropping anything. And everything I just showed you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But if you want the full roadmap, the blueprint, step by step, the numbers, the strategies, and the community of women walking this path with you, that's exactly what the masterclass is for. So, what level are you at? Number 1, I have insurance with my job. I'm good. You're just going to keep rolling with the job insurance. If that's you, drop a 1 in the chat. Number 2, I need to do more research. I understand this is something new, and you may not have heard of it before. And if that's you and you need to do more research, by all means, do more research because I don't want to take you down a path you're not comfortable. So drop a 2 in the chat if you're needing to do more research. And then number 3, I need the masterclass. Yes, yes. You want to learn more and you want to get your own stuff set up the right way. Drop a 3 in the chat. Okay, cool. All right. So again, how to fund your future for the what if. I would like to let you know that tonight is just the introduction to inside of our community. Inside the community is the Bougie banking blueprint. So you know exactly how to turn your paycheck into protection and become your own bank. And so what is going to happen is over the next 4 weeks, I'll break down everything that I shared in deeper detail, bite by bite. The masterclass covers how to find the right policy at the right price for the right situation because everybody's situation is different. This isn't just a course I've recently created. It's a community where women are doing the work and are tired of being financially stuck and they want to move together. And so tonight, for not the $88 price that I would normally charge, if you sign up tonight and use the discount code BANK, I'll give you 50% off to join me and other women for the next 4 weeks for $44. We will go in depth in our modules about every pillar about protection, growth, safety, and tax advantages, and what that really means for you. I'll give you 50 full use cases organized into categories of emergency and survival of how you can use your money, elevation and growth, as well as legacy and giving and what that looks like. I'll give you the if-then scenarios showing exactly how to identify the right moment to tap into your policy because the goal is to allow it to grow and compound over time. Speaking of compound, we're going to learn what compound interest really is and the rule of 72 and deep dive into that with real numbers based on your personal situation. Then I want to share with you the tax-free access strategy, how you can actually do it and actually know that it exists so that when you get to the point of retirement, you know that the money that you're pulling out, you can take it and not have to have Uncle Sam's hand in it because we don't know what those taxes might be in 10, 15, 20 years. Then we're going to talk about estate planning basics. So protecting what you build and leaving something behind. Let's talk about that. I am offering a live coaching and Q&A session inside the community. So I'll be available to answer your questions and basically answer any questions you may have along the way. And so, like I said before, this is a private community space, a place to ask questions, share your wins, and stay accountable with other women who are on the same journey. So I want to say, if that's for you, I'm going to drop this link in the chat so that you can go ahead and get started. And ultimately, I would like to say congratulations on taking the step to protecting yourself for the what if scenario and building your bougie bank account. Again, this is Dee Garrett. I look forward to working with you and we'll see you on the inside. Discount code is BANK. We'll see you inside. Have a good night.